Hello friends, welcome to Run TV Social. So today we are going to have a discussion about user management in Linux. So in this video, I'll show you how to create a user and how to assign a password to that particular user and how we can add that user to pseudo group. That means super user, like admins group, administrators for that server. Okay. So why the user management is very important is, let's say there are so many, most of the companies they hire most of the resources, right? And who can access what? Let's say you are a people 10 people as a DevOps engineers, and there is one more guy hired as a DevOps engineer. What you guys can do, you guys could create an account and you guys could assign that user to that particular group. He could be IAM user, or IAM user for IAM is for AWS account. It's account, okay? But the user management is like a user for that server. He can get access, okay? Yeah, things like that. So I did create an EC2 instance and I'm logged into my EC2 instance. If you don't know how to create an EC2 instance, in my previous videos I clearly mentioned that how you can provision a server and how you can connect to that server using SSH client. So I'm connected to that server using SSH client. You see that EC2 user, and this is the IP address of my EC2 instance. If config, this is the IP address of the server that I'm logged into. So the command you should use to create a user, in order to add a new user, you should be a root user. Okay, EC2 user have root access already. It's a default root access. Okay, since the provision AWS people, and by default you log in as a EC2 user, and you should know how to become a root user and things like that. So the command to add a user is user add, sudo user or add user. Add user is a single command and a username. What I will do, I'll just create a test user. Okay, and password. The user should have a password, right? Let me assign a password for that for user. Okay, test user. A command for that passwd password and the username. Okay, and provide a password. That's okay. I don't have anything sensitive in this server. So the command, let's see whether user has been created or not. Okay, and ls slash, we'll see home. You see that only two users are available. This is a test user and this is a EC2 user. By default, you logged in as a EC2 user. For all of the EC2 instances, default user is a EC2 user, and this is the user that we just create. Okay, just created. Okay, so let me log into that user. The command for that is su, that is switch user, and username switch test user, and you will provide a password. Okay, you see that now I'm logged in as a test user. Okay, now I wanted to add this user to the pseudo group. Okay, in order to do that, you have to be a root user in order to add any user to vsudoers file. Okay, let's go to sudo, become a root. You see that now you become a root user. Edit the vsudoers file. This is the file that we need to edit. Okay, let's look for the wheel. You see that? So this wheel group will provide you the password escalation. You see that? Allow people in group wheel to run all commands, and this is same thing without a password. So what we are doing is we are giving them access, like password escalation access. Okay, let's go and uncomment that. Now let's save this. Now add that user to vsudoers file so that he will get like a password escalation access as well. We'll look how that looks like in a minute. Okay, and what I will do, add user linux command to add user to wheel group. Very simple. It's just a one command, so you don't have to remember any commands because most of the commands you will get them in Google, obviously. This is command. Okay, let's go. User mod. What we are doing is we are modifying the user permissions. Okay, and what is the username? Test user. Okay, user mod ag. The reason you are not using sudo is you logged in as a root user already. You see that you logged in as a root user, so you don't have to be a sudo. Okay, let's run this command. Let's find out what exactly the issue. Okay, so what we can do is, actually, you know what, let me go back to my terminal. Actually, sudo user mod -a -g wheel group to, who is the user? Test user. Now let's see, switch user to test user. Right now you are a test user, right? It's very simple. Now I'll try to update the package using sudo, because by default the test user doesn't exist. We created this test user and we are trying to escalate this password thing. Okay, and yum update sudo yum update. We are trying to update the packages. In order to update or install any package, you should be a root user. Okay, you see that no package has been updated. So if you are not in that wheel group, right, when you try to add sudo, it will prompt you for the command. Let's see how does that work. Sudo, only root user can add one more user, right? Now test user will be able to add one more user as well, because he is assigned to sudo's group, so he can be a sudo user as well, he can be a root user as well. Add user test underscore user underscore test, something like this. Okay, now we will assign the password for this user underscore test user. Okay, actually the command for that is, okay, that's fine. I don't have anything crazy. This is just a test server and a test user. So switch user to user underscore test, right? And let me provide password for this user. Now user underscore test. If I use sudo, right? Sudo yum update. You see that? So the password, you should enter the password. He doesn't have the permissions to escalate that password because he is not assigned to that wheel group. So in order to get like a root access, the user should be assigned to that wheel group. Okay, that's the only way a normal user can be a root user. Now if I provide password for this user, right, user test is not in the sudoers file, so he cannot use sudo. In order to get access like a sudoers file, you should be added to the sudoers file. How we can do that? We can exit. Now user mod, we'll just modify the permissions. User mod -a -g wheel group and user underscore test. Now let's switch back to user underscore test, and let's try to sudo yum update again. We see that this time it's not prompt for the password. Okay, this is how user management works. These are the mostly used commands for user management, but there are some flags as well. -e flag, when you create a user, if you provide -e, and you can set expiration date for that user as well, and things like that. But these are the like a 2-3 commands that you should know how you can create a user and how you can give permissions to that particular user. So next what we can do is discuss today is we'll discuss about the file permissions, and let's see how does that work. Okay, let me log in as a EC2 user. You see that now I'm logged in as a EC2 user. So let me create a file. The command to create a file is touch and a file.txt, some small simple text file. Okay, and if I do ls-ltr, this is just long list. You see that the file txt has this particular permissions. Okay, so what these permissions are, like what is that read write, what is that read write dash dash dash. Okay, and let me explain. So if you look at them, right, 3 3 3 9 and 1 10, there are 10 characters, right? So the first character will tell you whether it's file or directory. Let's go and create a directory and we'll see how does that work. Okay, and directory 1. Now do ls-ltr. You see that this is the D stands for directory. This is the directory and this is the file. The D stands for directory. Okay, let me create a file with a dir1. Let's see what we can see. And if I do ls-ltr, you see that vim dir1. Okay, so for now let's do this. So the D stands for directory and the dash stands for file, whether it's file or directory. And let me create a file, touch file. I'm not giving any any extension. I'll just create a file test, something like this. And if I do ls-lrt, you see that even though there is no extension, whether it's JPG file or text file, it says dash, right? The dash will tell you whether it's file or directory, and this D will tell you this is a directory. Okay, and what are that rw dash dash dash? Okay, they are very simple. The first three letters, right, that will tell you the user permissions. You see that this is a user and this is the user group. So this user assigned to this group. By default, EC2 user belongs to EC2 user group. A user itself is a group. if you don't assign a user to a particular group, the user will become a user group as well. Okay, did you guys understand that? No? Okay, let me log in as a test user, and now do ls. Let's create a file. Okay, file1.txt, do ls -lrt. You see that? So the test user belongs to a test user group. A user itself, I did not assign this user to any particular group. For example, software developers group, or DevOps group, or system admins group, or I didn't assign this user to any group. So he become himself as a group. Okay, whatever the permissions that this group has, the user will have the same permissions. Okay, and this file, the user has a read write permissions for this file. The RW stands for read write, and a dash stands for 0. And the group, the second three permissions belongs to the group. So the group has the read write permissions as well. Okay, everyone else in the sense who can have access to this server have only readable permissions for this group. How we can change these permissions is, let me open my paint. I'll explain you in a better way. Okay, create a new paint. That's fine. So I'm pretty new to painting. This is the user, and this is the user group, and this is the everyone else. This is a dash dash dash, right? And dash 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 dash. Simple. So the first dash, if you say this read, and the second dash W, and the third dash is X, that means executable. So the read, this is how people calculate. Read is 4, write is 2, X is 1. If it is just a dash, it's 0, and just a dash 0, and just a dash 0. And if it is a dash 0, 0, 0. What that means is this user only have a read, write, executable permissions. How you can change it is, you can add all those values. 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7. Right? If I provide 7, 0, 7, 0, 0, only the user should have a read, write, executable permissions. Everyone else doesn't have any permissions, and we'll see how does that work. Okay, and the command to do that, chmod, you are modifying the file permission, 700 file txt. Now if I do ls-lrt, you see that this guy only have a read, write, executable permissions, and everyone else doesn't have any permissions. And if I want to give the group also read, write, executable permissions, and what I will do, chmod 7, how it became 7, that's a 4, 4 is the read, 2 is the write, and x is a 1, 4 plus 2 plus 1, the same way. And I don't want anybody to have other permissions, like no read, write, executable permissions. And what I will do, just do change those permissions. You see that read, write x, and everyone else doesn't have any permissions, like they can't see the file and they can't touch the file and everything. Let's see how does that work. Okay, let's copy this file to this last time, and we'll see how does that work. Okay, copy file 1.txt to where, no slash temp. Okay, now let's switch back to different user, and let's change user to EC2 user. Okay, go to /temp and do ls. You see that there is a file, right? File.txt. Let's try to add some content to that file. This is nothing. This is not gonna work. Is that warning changing only read-only file? If I try to save it, I'm not gonna save it because this EC2 user doesn't have the permissions to change this file. Only who can change this file? You see that the test user and the test user group, because these first three belongs to the test user and the second three belongs to the test user group. They are the two people who only can change this file because they have a read, write, execute permissions. Let's say I want to provide everyone else also read, write, execute permissions, right? What I will do is, let me go back to the test user. Let me provide a password and do ls-lrt, that file.txt, right? chmod and 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is the owner permissions, and 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is the owner group permissions, and 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is everybody's permissions. Okay, and now do ls, that's file, and a copy to /temp, right? Now let's go to the /temp. Okay, and let's go back to the EC2 user, cd /temp. Now let's do ls-lrt. Actually, you know what, the file already exists, so it was unable to move that existing file. So what we can do is let's go back to switch user to test user, right? And let me provide this file and move this file to /temp. Now exit, do ls, go to cd /temp, that's where we move that file, right? Do ls-lrt. You see that now everyone else has also read, write, executable permissions. That means the other user, EC2 user, also have the read, write, executable permissions. Now let's try to change some add. This is going to work. You see that I'm able to save that file because I have given permissions to that file. Who got the permissions here? The EC2 user. He's everyone else, not like, user or not like a user group. Okay, this is how the file permissions works, guys. So like I said, the first three belongs to the user. Okay, read, write, execute. The number 4 belongs to read, number 2 belongs to write, and number 1 belongs to execute. If you don't want to give writable permissions, right, what I need to do is, I don't give write, I will put 0 instead of write. Okay, so what I can do is chmod, what I will do, so now I can give only permissions to everyone else, not user and a root. So the read is 4. I don't want to give writable permissions, that is 0. 4 plus 0, 4. But I want to give executable permissions, that is 1. So 4 plus 0 plus 1, that is 5. Okay, and I want to give same permissions to the group as well. The 4 plus 0 plus 1, that is 5. But I want everybody else have all permissions, 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7. Okay, let's do it. Changing the file permissions operator is not permitted because you are not the owner of that file. Okay, you are not the owner of that file. Who is the owner of that file? The test user is the owner of that file. But a root user can change anything root user is obviously admin for that server, right? He can change anything. So let's use sudo. Now the file permissions has been changed. If I do ls-lrt, and you see that, so the easy to user, the test user and the test user group, they both have only read and executable permissions. They can write it, but everyone else can write that file as well. Everyone else can change that file as well. Okay, this is how the file permissions and user management works, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, please comment as soon as I get a chance, and I'll respond to that comment. And if, like I said in my previous videos, if any of your friends are looking for, they're trying to learn like a AWS and DevOps or Linux administrator work, and please forward this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, please subscribe Run TV Social. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video.